Okay, ready?
Yep.
Sunday, July 9th. Blah. Let's try that again. Sunday, July 19th. It's 9:01 a.m. And this is the Board State. My name is Jeffrey Vieira, aka Mr. V, and I'm joined with my buddy across the island in Nanakuli.
Choo! Jack.
Hi, Jack. How are you, sir?
Good.
The hair is
Gone.
Interesting.
Yes, it was worse. Don't ask how bad it was. That
feels like I'm interviewing like a convict or something.
Hey, it's
all right. Stop. Okay, what do we do? What we do on this podcast is well, first of all, this is a podcast about game design for social good. And what we try to do is we try to highlight 5 articles from the week. Today we're doing 6. And these articles are related to game design for social good, or just indie design that really stands out, especially now amidst all this. I have salt water in my head today. Amidst all the trials and tribulations of our time.
Yep.
All right. Please send your concerns to the podcast at, where can they send it, Jack?
theboardstate@gmail.com or at nevermind.
At theboardstate@gmail.com. That's the only place you can send it. We just have one plug that we want to mention right now. Jack, do you want to mention the ARG real quick?
Yeah, so if you guys want to play a game that is both free, fun for the family, and will teach you about history of Hawaii, and you may actually win some rewards, then go on to the web Facebook group page AO8 ARG, and may the odds be ever in your favor. It's ARG, and the whole process of the game is basically to solve puzzles, and by the ending of the week to give the answer, which is the location, by taking a picture of yourself in front of said location.
Yep, so that's facebook.com/groups with an S, and then //groups/808 ARG. And yeah, this is a virtual scavenger hunt essentially, and we have a grand prize at the end. We worked really, really hard on it. We got a lot of cool stuff happening for that. All right.
Still working hard for it.
Yeah, tell me about it. All right. First article of the day is by Forbes.com. It's been some time since we had a Forbes article, and it is Visionary Fashion School, something I know very, very much about. Visionary Fashion School creates interactive online game to showcase graduates' collections. Jack, what are your thoughts on this article?
As we continue to move on, and as we continue to go from after this whole pandemic, we will see more and more ideas and more and more ventures being come out and being showcased. And so that's the main thing about this article, is that it's venturing out into new ideas and showcasing it. And for us gamers, it allows us to basically have access to games like this for constantly. So if it's a good game mechanically or just overall, then graduates themselves and their designs and their outlooks and their artworks will basically last forever and ever, because now it's in a game format. It's like putting something on film or taking a picture of it. Now that you have a picture of it, it pretty much lasts as long as the film is around.
All right. Who else knows fashion? V.I. Lenin.
Really?
Soviet Russia.
Oh no!
Okay, fashion reference, and then for some reason, like this is just the way my brain works, and then for some reason I'm like, Lenin knows fashion. I was like, what? Okay. Anyway, the article, Jeff. Thank you. So as we know, pandemic has changed our climate in so many different ways, and businesses are forced to adapt on the fly, or adapt with if like Darwin mentioned many years ago, not evolution but adaptation, right? The ability to adapt to new territory, new climates to survive. So this is one way in which a university, I believe it was, a fashion institution, an educational fashion institution, teamed up with gamers and continued this curriculum to the very end, because with the closure of the school, they weren't able to access like the machines and things like that they would use to make fashion. I don't know, machines make fashion, I guess so. But so that's the University of Arts London. And what was the person's name? I know their last name is, because I wrote it down, Andrastik. See? V.I. Lenin, bro.
You go gulag.
All right. Launches an ambitious 6-week project by inviting design and gaming students to collaborate on creating a digital fashion universe, presenting the graduate fashion collections with an interactive gaming environment. So again, they did this really cool collaboration with game designers like us, and they pulled through. They adapted. They will survive.
Not just that, but they're also teaching students you have to collaborate in the field and in different industries. Like fashion could go along with gaming could go along with fishing, it could go along with anything, but you have to be open to it and you have to be ready for it. So by them allowing students, and now they're going to other developers really showcase this whole new concept that colleges are trying to adapt, which is the changing industries and also how you need to have a group, no matter where you come from, to make a project happen.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to randomly turn to a page here, and then I'm going to read whatever it says. The little and simple fact which alone could have given... Wait, I'll say this in a more authoritarian voice. The little and simple fact which alone could have given, and actually did give, Comrade Matov cause for nervous excitement was nothing but his defeat at the Congress over the personal composition of the central bodies. All right, fashion.
You should add the whole dun 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 dun.
Right? What's happening today? I have no idea.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Lenin. Oh wait, I will be Lenin, right?
It's been 4 hours in the ocean. This is what happens. Okay. Next article, not related to authoritarian figures. Rutherglen's Dr. Dolittle creates a lockdown board game. This article is all feels, man. What are your thoughts on this article, Jack?
Honestly, it's showcasing that same concept about gamers and up with different industries like how we talk about on the first article. And it showcases this even more because the guy who made this game doesn't really have a game background. He is more focused on zoo and animal life. And by associating gaming with his own personal life, it actually boosted him during this pandemic, yes, but also may have offered him new concepts and new ideas that he could now take on and that he could now use because he now experienced a different side of an industry that he didn't really have associated with before.
Yep.
We will continue to state this as it's literally life.
Yep. So Kevin McMillan had a traveling zoo And then once this thing happened, this pandemic happened, he had to lay off people. It was like really sad and depressed. So he started playing board games as a means of, coping with the distress, right, with his kids. And then he got a bright idea to make a game. I guess evolving around it's called Lockdown 2020, I guess. And I was trying to find a little more description on what the game does. I mean, it's kind of a play on Monopoly, but I couldn't really find any more information on it. But that's neither here nor there. What matters about this article is that this dude really quickly, without knowing, I assume, the tenets of game design, was able to create something really, really, really quick by outsourcing most of the stuff to China. But that's awesome. That is so cool. This I want to see more and more articles like this. This is why we do this cast, right? Is to try to get people to learn about stuff like this. Like there's people out there making board games and video games for social good, but then B, like how simple it is to do this stuff. I mean, you can get really, really deep into game design theory, right? And you can get really, really, really complex, but also you can get really simple. I remember I was attending a lecture a while ago, a game design lecture, and they who was it? Keith something, I don't remember his last name. The guy that made Tiki Topple. But anyway, he was writing down on a board. Was it a lecture? Yeah. He was writing down on a board. It was something like waitress, parking attendant, like all this stuff, right? Like all these like you would say like blue collar menial jobs. And then he asked everybody, what do these people have in common? And then he wrote down all the games that person said. So it was like Risk, like all these like classic games from like the 70s and 60s, that the people that made them were like a husband wife that was like a waitress or something like that. They weren't like some PhD physicist or something that made these games. That they were essentially us that made it. So yeah, and I think about that a lot when people reach out to me to ask for advice making games. It's like I almost don't want to give advice. I almost want them to just kind of like figure it out, and that way they can kind of create something special, something just like what this guy did.
At the same time, though, I do say like the best way to get into the industry is always going into something or do something that you know or love doing outside the industry.
Yeah.
For example, like him, it was animal and taking care of them, and now because of this pandemic, it's showcasing this idea of basically how that affected his job and how that affected his life. So it would be easier to just associate something, your first gaming project, something you have done or have experience with, IRL. And you brought up the big red book again, right? Okay. Is this going to be a comment?
Shh. We're going to open it up. We're going to read a quick sentence from here. The movement flared up spontaneously. Nobody had cleared the ground for it. The movement was so markedly directed against the government that one regiment even appeared fully armed at the Mariinsky Palace. All right.
What book are you reading? Because that sounds like a war book. Like a socialist.
All right. Next article. Engineering for...
Okay. Engineering for kids. King counting to STEM skills over lockdown.
All right.
You're gonna do this. You should title this episode The Red Book.
No, that would be Bao Zedong. I think I just threw it. I don't want to. Let's not say anything about that. Okay. Yes, engineering for kids of King County teaches STEM skills. Comonews.com. Jack, what do you think about this article?
Basically, it's showcasing this ideal. Well, gaming has just becoming more and more into everyday life and everyday things. And one of the ways we could do this is by putting it into our education system. And I don't mean, and we will continue to not mean, put Call of Duty as an educational system. We mean games for social good.
Uh-oh. Is that you or me? Okay, we're a little laggy here, sorry.
I'm gonna start again from where I left off. From games that's basically teaching science, math, engineering, all of these key traits, and will continue to be expanded upon, especially during the future as we become more and more digital focused. But one of the things about STEM, well, we in Hawaii we call it STEAM, and so there is two different variations of this. STEM is focusing on more the technical side and how that could be up for those states that has it. Focus on arts and inclusiveness and also group projects more. So depending on how you see it, STEM is more structured in a more focus on engineering, math, and technology, while STEAM is more of arts. So personally, STEAM has been overall successful over here. All of these curriculums that most kids have hard time with, and if not, will have a hard understanding with. As the career or as the curriculum gets ongoing. So it's to keep in mind that STEM and STEAM is not gonna be at the level of opponent at this rate, at, at this level, but it's going to get there eventually, and that's what this article is showcasing. Is that the more we include STEM and STEAM sources, the more it will just become like Poland, where gaming is seen as a love instead of a big hatred.
I think we're going to have to start putting a counter for every time you say the word Poland during our show. Poland ding! Poland ding! Poland ding! Yeah.
So
No, that's totally fine. Yeah, STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. STEAM has an A, and arts are in there. Art is very, very, very important. There was a what did I read this? I read this somewhere where there's like 4 levels of awe that humans can experience, right? Like one is like through kinship, like social talking to people. Second was nature. And then spiritual, like awe, and the last one was music and arts. Like that's the 4 things that like humans can be like, wow, that's crazy, amazing, like, true awe. And yeah, I think arts has to be in there as well. Like it's vital, right? Humanity without arts, we're just robots essentially. Right, really boring people. Yeah, so I just me, I put this article in here. I just wanted to talk about this, the importance of game design and gaming in curriculum, in class, in schools is just so important. Places like the P word, they get this. They are now integrating this deeply into the education system. Yeah, this is, I feel like we say this enough and that we don't say this enough. But also, let's see what the Red Book has to say about this. Here we go. Oh, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one. Ready? Just a quick sentence.
Go.
All right. Workers' control over production, storage, purchase, and sale of all products and raw materials shall be introduced in all industrial, commercial, banking, agricultural, and enterprises. WWII Lenin. It's so ridiculous, dude. What's happening today?
Wait,
All right.
one last thing
Yes.
about this article before we move on.
Oh yeah, please, yeah. Go for it.
And if it kind of touch bases on the first article we did, and it's basically it also allow kids to do group projects and allow kids to do more interactive skills while they're in a younger age. They don't have to rely on it when they're in college or in high school. They could start now, and then by the time they're adult, even if they don't become a game developer or a mathematician, they will use these same skills to apply to any of the other industries that they may go into, like construction, like cooking, like anything you could name. But yeah.
All right. So next article is by EuropeanGaming.eu and Riot, small little indie company. Riot Games partners with youth esports programs. Jack, what is this article about?
So it's basically what it sounds like. Riot Gaming is gonna partner with the esports programs to help build the loot and ban different.
Got it. Yep.
You did that.
I'm sorry.
But guys, on the podcast, Mr. Jeff Vieira decided to show me a book with. What the heck is that? Okay, focusing back on the article. Basically, it's youth esports program, and it's one of those things where, especially now with the pandemic, canceling a lot of sports programs and a lot of group activities that kids normally would go to. For example, in Europe, football, it's such a big thing that a lot of high schools and middle schools will offer that off of the back, and it's off their mandatory program, but it's always seen as a fun program for the kids to do. But because of this, and I'm not talking about American football, I'm talking about European football. If you're from America, European football is soccer. But coming back to this article once more, it's just showcasing this whole expanding trait of group activities and group programs. And so by Riot helping out with the new programs in Europe, it allows them to not only stake a claim, like, hey guys, I'm ensuring the new future athletes to get better and to get more future athletes to come into the system, but it also allows them to kind of have a good monopoly of sorts, because a lot of their games are esports focused. So this is not only a good social change but financial change as well, because this is showcasing several different concepts that you would think go contradict each other, but in actuality will flourish into something new, which is the opposite of what EA likes to do.
Cool. Great article. I'm just gonna make a comment based off of a book that I'm just gonna read from. So this is the Communist Party of the Soviet Union book. I'll just open this up here and just read here. Here we are. The supply of the Red Army was directly linked with the policy of the communists towards the peasants and towards industry during the Civil War. That's what I have to say about this article.
I really don't know why he's doing it, guys. If you have a mental psychologist on stand,
yeah. So a lot of sports programs are not open right now, right? Even outside school. So, which for me, I'm like, haha. But I mean, I understand that people want to run around and do stuff like that, which is cool, whatever. But how schools are embracing esports now because they kind of have to, right? Like we've mentioned that in a few episodes ago, how other schools are beginning to use esports as well. And yeah, Riot Games. I mean,
it's Riot Games.
No, Riot's cool. Express Minions. What's that guy's name? I wish I could remember. There's a really good designer that works at Riot, and he did this lecture at the Tabletop Network event. Really smart guy. And yeah, they do great stuff. Riot, small indie company, right?
Yeah, small.
All right, next article. What a surprise. And its love of gaming has entered schools. Gee, who added this one in here? This by the Jerusalem Post.
Hey, I'm going international, okay?
Wow. Homie got this from the Jerusalem Post. All right. Jerusalem Post. Awesome. I mean, yeah, right on, man. Go for it. But why would the Jerusalem Post cover Poland? Is there a large concentration?
I don't know, Mr. V. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's also not what this article is about, but I'm just really curious. Like,
I mean, when it was founded, yeah, there was a large percentage that was from Poland because World War II and
yeah. But it's super interesting though. Like, wow, I don't know. Okay, what is this article about, Jack?
It's talking about basically how Steam and the articles before it and how the education system in Poland is becoming more and more basically what all countries are trying to go for. Israel, America, China, and trying to get their own stake on it to be like, oh yeah, Poland got it from me. But in actuality, a lot of these countries, like how we say earlier with STEM and STEAM, is still at a below level to subpar level. And basically, what Poland is doing is basically really putting these STEAM and STEM programs to a next degree. Well, they are controlling and they can feel free at the same time. It's not going to be perfect, but by us continuing to elaborate on this, will only let the conversation continue to grow. The moment people stop talking about it, and the moment people became relaxed, we have school problems. We have kids dropping out of school. We have kids not going to school because they don't feel the curriculum is identifying to them or interesting to them or will apply to them. So Poland is so far doing all of the right things. So I will continue to say Poland until my dying days, until they actually screw up.
Yeah. I think Poland's going to become the success story that other non-US countries will look at and be like, hey, they integrated this whole gaming thing. They took a game-centric approach to design and education with gaming at the center. And of course it's going to succeed. And then other we'll see post-November, but other US, other non-US countries will really begin to embrace this based off of the success. I mean, yeah, awesome find, man. I mean, Poland's doing some amazing things. I just can't wait to see what comes out of, I mean, like 5 years from now, right? Once this program, gets really integrated into their culture, what stuff's just going to start cranking out of Poland, right?
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah. Should we see what the book has to say about this?
Marcel, you have to take No. You did it with all the other articles. You have to do it with Poland now. Keep in mind, Poland got invaded.
Yeah, I know. We're not gonna be. Yeah. Right. So, we don't have a question for the day. We ran out of questions, or excuse me, answers. We have lots of questions, but please send us again your questions to. Go ahead, Jack. What is the email?
www.polandisawesome.com or www.theboardstate@gmail.com.
Can you imagine if they actually went there and then started asking them questions and they're like, "What is this?" I don't know. That's a Polish accent. I'm sorry for Polish people out there.
You're
I
gonna
doubt that's an
get stabbed.
accurate depiction of. I was trying to think how like Geralt talks, but that's also not a good Polish accent.
You're gonna
All
get
right.
winter sauce.
Huh?
Oh no, there's this meme about history of Poland, and then one of their famous military units is called the Wing Hussars.
The
And
Winged
so
Hussars?
yeah, and so there's a whole meme. It's called When the Wing Hussars Arrive, and so basically, it's like, oh, what time is it? And yeah, that's the joke. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So this next final article of the day has the word World War II in it. So you know where this article came from, dear listeners. If you're a fan of the show, you know militaristic agendas somehow get brought into our socially conscious cast episode after episode after, and there'll be these lapses of peace and harmony and wonderment, and everything's okay, and then all of a sudden, dun 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 dun, dun, here's another military article. We got one. There's also the word gamers in it, so I guess that's why it's relevant to what we're talking about. So this is by connectingvets.radio.com. Okay. And gamers step up to save World War II Airborne Museum. Jack, what is this article about?
So it's basically taking the whole concepts of gaming and how we're leading the charge. And basically, this organization, the 506, is basically a community of gamers that's online and has been playing different games. And I even played with them several times.
Cool.
And so what they did, or what they're still doing, in fact, is raising funds for a lot of museums. One of the most notable ones that they're doing is for the Airborne Museum, for their namesake, the 506. And so, but they not only focusing on airborne museums, they're trying to save as much museums as they can. It's just that this article focus on the Airborne Museum because it's from the veterans' perspective. And it's showcasing, even though this pandemic has hit everybody hard, the most hardest will be history, because a lot of people will lose jobs, a lot of people will lose locations because they can't pay for the rent, or they can't keep the staff up to maintain some of these historical sites. Gaming communities are actually stepping up to pay or buffer to save these museums. The 506 is the most well known because of the efforts of this one museum, but they're expanding to other museums. Reason why, when I went on their server, because they run servers for different games, one of them being Hell Let Loose, they actually have a Discord server for, different ways to help out these museums, different ways to help out the Airborne museums, or basically any local museums that their members are located in. And a lot of their proceeds and donations they're going to is basically like how the 504s, the crossplay group does right now, basically to these museums or to these healthcare workers. There is countless stories like this, and if you found one of these, let us know so we could showcase this. But there's more groups and gamer groups out there that is trying their best, especially now, to show social good. Even though it says World War II, in actuality, it's basically history. Because you don't want your grandpa or grandma to be disregarded or be forgotten. So that's what these guys are doing, but in a positive way. They're not saying, "Oh, let's save the statue over here." They're actually putting the effort to actually save these museums.
That's super cool, man. That's really cool. I love how community or gamers step up to help support a cause, because these things need to exist, right?
Yeah.
That's super cool. And I love how you said that this is one group that's doing this, but there's a lot of groups that aren't represented that are doing the exact same thing and doing the same fight. But I'm very curious of what Lenin on Politics and Revolution selected writings would have to say about this. So
I love how you skip Poland. I'm thankful you did that, Mr. B.
All right. Yeah. Duh. Hello. Wow. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
So again, just random page, finger down, right? Look into the sun. Turn my head back. One may dream about the field revolution on a worldwide scale, for it will come. Everything will come in due time, but for the time being, set to work to establish self-discipline, subordination before all else, so that we can have exemplary order, so that the workers you can't keep a search face with the workers for at least 1 hour in 24 hours may train to fight.
We have an unbiased political message here on the board state.
It's just ridiculous. All right. We should totally shoehorn into, like, I don't know, every third episode or something. Every third episode of the month, we'll just grab because I have so much books, right? I can grab like a random set of just whatever, and then just in between articles, just pick like random like pages and passages just to like see how it relates to the content. So kind of like a William Burroughs like surrealistic writing. Like you would do these cut-ups. Anyway, all right.
Send us your messages, send your questions, please do.
Wait. I know it's been 30 minutes or so, but how did Lenin get in? Did we mention something? No, it was just on the fashion article.
It was because the fashion article has.
I was trying to find some kind of a comparison, right? And
yeah.
V.I. Lenin. What? So then I followed that train of thought to see maybe in some of my V.I. Lenin books there would be something indirectly related to fashion, right? To the fashion industry. That should be the name of the Lenin, Politics, and Fashion. Welcome to the Port State. I'm gonna type that here.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Okay. So that's gonna do it for episode. Go ahead, Jack.
You could send your questions, thoughts, artwork about Lenin and his glorious form at www.theboardstate@gmail.com. I mean the last one as a joke. If you send stuff like that, I may wipe my eyes. You could also go on the Facebook group and try to win the ultimate grand prize and discover.
PlayStation 5. Yeah, we're giving away a PlayStation 5, folks.
And discover Hawaiian history to a fun and family way at Facebook/groups/808ARG.
All right, that's gonna do it, guys.
Bye. God, Mr.
That was awesome, dude.